Great celebration. I appreciate you being here. I'm going to talk a little bit, but the best thing a commander can do is get his troops out of the sun as quickly as possible. So I'm going to do that. I did serve almost 40 years in the Army, and I'll talk a little bit about the changes that I saw. Now for the Freedom Riders back there, and some of you I see with Vietnam hats on, my first uniform was a set of camouflage slant pocket BDUs. Vietnam BDUs. How many of you wore those slant pocket camouflage? Okay, I see a few hands back there in the back. And then we went to the next step. They decided we'd go just to straight green uniforms. And then we went to the ones that were green. We call them Pickle Suits because they didn't have any camouflage on them. They weren't cut to fit. They just fit you straight up and down, but we call them Pickle Suits. Then all of a sudden we started changing from jungle warfare to desert warfare. So we had to switch and wear pure brown uniforms. And then they decided that needed to be camouflaged, so we went to what the Army called chocolate chip uniforms. They were brown, different colored browns. And some of you are shaking your head because you remember this, you know. Now, my wife is shaking her head because she had to iron all these things and starch them and sew patches on. Well, we fussed enough about that during the early years that about the time we got ready to change in the late to mid 80s there, the Army decided to put patches on with Velcro. And man, she thought she had died, gone to heaven. Well, she wasn't having to put patches on by hand anymore. And then we went to digital uniforms, and now we've gone to urban digital uniforms. So in 40 years, I've seen 7 different uniform changes in the Army. We went from Willis Jeeps back in the early 60s to the initial, what they called flat vehicles, which were the basic Humvees, to the now up-armored Humvees, to now the combined soldier armed movement vehicle. So just a lot of changes in there, but the one thing that never changed was if you ask a soldier, why are you here? What are you fighting for? They would always tell you to advance the freedoms of the United States. Amen. Our whole mission in life. Nobody hates war worse than a soldier, because that means we got to leave our families. It means we got to go to places we've never been before, eat bad food, sleep in bad places, do things that we never thought we'd have to do, and get it over with and get back to our home. But nobody hates that worse than a soldier. What we want is peace. But the thing that we always want to make sure is that we help guarantee the rights and freedoms for all Americans everywhere in the world, and that we help people that are weaker than us in the world, that are being oppressed by people who are killing Christians, killing people just because of religious persecution, all the things like Saddam Hussein was doing overseas. So a soldier's life is dedicated to helping you have the freedom to come and do this today. To be out here, even in the hot sun, even with instruments that get so hot you can't really play them. Appreciate all, because I saw some of you tentatively pushing things. And it takes a little while, but we really appreciate you being here and doing this. Amen. So that's what a soldier's all about, is advancing those freedoms in the United States. We look at soldiers, and when I say soldiers, I mean all armed service people. I just happen to gravitate toward the Army. For the Marines that are here, I'll talk a little slower. For the artillery people that are here, I'll talk a little louder. For the Navy people that are here, I'll take flags and start doing it so you can understand the flag symbols. And for the Air Force people, I'll write it down and send it to you in a regular invitation, because you're probably at the Officers Club. So, listen, if you give me a microphone and I get the chance, I'm going to stand up for the Army and tell you we love the other services, but we pick on them all the time just like they do us. One of my best friends was a former Navy commander, and anytime we get together and start yah-yahding about who's the best, I always tell him we appreciate him giving us a ride to the war. But I love them, every one, because they are there for one purpose: advancing the freedoms, advancing the protection and the lifestyles that we enjoy as Americans across the world. Now, getting here was not an easy thing to do. The colonists had all kinds of problems to face. They fought through the Revolutionary War. They fought through the other wars we've gone through, and each time we fought a war, we thought we were finished. And we finished World War II. We thought we'd never have another war. And then we had Korea and Vietnam, and then Iraq, Afghanistan, and we're not through. There's a lot of conflicts in the world that are still growing and going, and a lot of things that are going to happen that we feel like the military is going to have to play a part in order to protect us here at home. because some of the things that are happening overseas are so bad, so egregious, that if we don't keep them outside of our boundaries, when they get here, we're going to suffer.
That's right.
And part of the fight that is going on right now is who do we let come in and who do we not let come in? And it's not anything to do with just pure immigration, it's how do we protect our freedoms. So this is not a political speech by any means. I'm just saying that when we look at things, we got to look and say, what do we think, what guarantees do we want in our life that we're going to be able to do? Are we going to always have the freedom of religion? Are we going to always have the freedom to congregate and come together as a body of one? Are we always going to have the freedom from want and the freedom of peace? Or are we going to have to fight for that as the U.S. changes? And I think that that's something that we're all going to see in our lifetimes, and we're going to have to help deal with that. So there are things that you can do, and not just, it doesn't have to be somebody that's dressed in a uniform like me. A lot of people served from the Revolutionary War forward and were just as contributable to the freedoms we have today as anyone, and they never put on a uniform. One of my favorite stories, in our business, we do things for social studies teachers, and we're doing a thing on Benjamin Franklin where we can project Benjamin Franklin in a room and he'll talk to students. And one of the things that the students always talk about is Benjamin Franklin and the Declaration of Independence. Well, the truth is, Benjamin Franklin didn't have anything to do with the Declaration of Independence. He was in Europe. And when you ask him, what were you doing while they were writing the Declaration, he'll tell you he was eating his way across Europe trying to build support for the Declaration of Independence. But he served, and that's just a way somebody served just as much as I did or anybody else that ever put on a uniform, but they never had to do this. So what I'm asking you, telling you, is there are hundreds and hundreds of ways that you can serve that will help your country, your community, your church, your family, just as much as it is if you put on a uniform like this every day and go to work. And you all know how to do it. I know PCO is here. I know that your food bank is here. Our churches are here. Our school system is here. I saw someone with a Texas flag shirt on up here. So, I mean, we got all kinds of folks here. But the thing to do is be involved and be aware. Look at what's going on in your community, and if you see something that's wrong, say, what can we do to make this better? One of the things that I was looking at this week, there are 4.1 million people in America today that don't know where their next meal is coming from. In Mississippi, 18% of the people that live in Mississippi don't know where their next meal is coming from. I mean, that's bad. That is bad. The two organizations I mentioned earlier are helping solve that here in Georgia. And that's a perfect way to serve without ever having to put on this hot uniform. Because I will tell you that I see y'all fanning, and that's good, but none of y'all are hotter than this wool uniform is. Right? So, but I want to say that we all serve in different ways. And we all serve at the best of our abilities. And we all have more to give than we're given right now. So as a combat leader, a leader for the American forces, a leader in helping soldiers understand that they're not just there to be a fighting force, but they're there to be a changing force, I will say the same to you as a member of our community. Let's look for ways to make it better. Let's look for ways to be more involved. Let's look for ways to reach a hand down and help someone up, because that is the way you change a community or change anything. When we went into Iraq, one of the things that I had to do was tell all of the sheiks and Arabs there, we were not there to conquer their country. They all were afraid we were coming in to take over their country. So one of the things that we did was we chose not to raise the American flag in Iraq. We raised the Iraqi flag, and then on our bases, we would put the American flags up, but we put it up equal to the Iraqi flag. And we did that to show them that we were not there as conquerors, we were there as supporting forces to help them. And the Iraqi government greatly appreciated that, because they were all afraid we were coming in like the Brits had done earlier, to come in and just take them over and change their country. So again, lots of ways to serve, lots of things you can do. But the key thing that I want to leave you with is service is an American way of life. It's not something that all of a sudden we decide, hey, we need to become service people and get out and help. Service has been being done since the time of Daniel Boone, when he pushed west through the Cumberland Gap and started Boonesboro. I mean, his job was to move settlers from the coast out into the wilderness. And the people took it on faith that he was doing the right thing by moving them that way because he served. He did everything he could to help them. And when you look at that, there are ways we can help people move along their life by serving, helping, leading, guiding, just providing a little bit of a hands up every now and then when you can. One of the things that I've done over the last, I've been retired now almost 10 years. That's amazing to me. Because I am not old enough to be retired from anything for 10 years. And no matter what, Edwina and Eugenia will tell you, I'm not that old. But one of the things that the Army did when I did retire for a year, they keep a string on generals and say, okay, we want you to travel and make speeches for us. And as we did that, I talked to thousands and thousands of young people in schools and different things, and I always talk to them about, making sure that you get your house in order, but making sure that you look and see who around you needs help, and then go help them and serve. And again, that's just a way that we can continue to grow our country. We can protect our freedoms by helping people get to the point where they can do that, and we can continue to enjoy the freedoms we have this morning, that we can come together, worship together, hear great preachers tell us the Word of God, and do those things all in a free nation. Now, this is a July 4th celebration on June the 30th, and I greatly appreciate all the people that put this together. Thank you to the band for being here. Again, I know it's hot, but we appreciate it a lot. And to the great choirs and choir within a choir, appreciate that a lot too. I tell you, when I took over the 18th Airborne Corps, and everybody always says, what do your patches mean? Let's see, this one is 18th Airborne Corps. So that's Fort Bragg. So when I had command of the units in there, one of the best groups I had was the 82nd Airborne Choir. And the choir, they were phenomenal. They had a great choir leader. They could hit harmonies, but they were the stiffest bunch of folks I'd ever seen. Think about this. Now, these are airborne soldiers, and when they got ready to sing, they sang like this. So I talked to the choir director, and I said, why are they so attentive? Why are they so in attention? He said, well, they're airborne soldiers. We want them to be that way. I said, well, do you want them to be stiff or do you want them to sing well? He said, well, both. So long story short, after a few times of talking in sessions, he agreed to let them just loosen up a little bit. So I was going to tell you that the group that came up and did the Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy, one of the things I saw was you guys, y'all ain't shy at all about moving and shaking and doing that kind of stuff. And I think it helps you be better singers to do that kind of stuff. So the other thing I'll tell you about service is it's not a burden.
That's right.
It is not a burden. It is a fun thing to do. When you reach out and help somebody, and don't worry about people knowing that you're helping people, just do it. It is a life-lifting experience. And doing that helps people all over. So my time, and I'm trying to get you out of the sun and stay within my time limit here, is to tell you that for the history of our country, the American Armed Forces has been dealing with and protecting the freedoms that we enjoy as Americans and advancing America's interests and freedoms around the world. And they will continue to do that in the future. The citizens of the United States can serve just like the military does by reaching out and helping people less fortunate than you, and by looking at your community and say, where can I get involved and be more helpful in doing that? And then the last thing I'll tell you is that we are a nation that was founded on Christianity. We're founded on religious freedom. And around the world, Christianity is under attack big time. If you have not traveled outside of the United States lately, if you have not traveled or seen a lot of things on the internet, I started to say interstate, but internet. Last week alone in the Middle East, 25,000 Christians were killed just because they worshiped or even said the word Jesus. They were killed. And that's happening more and more and more. So as you go through your life, whatever your religion is, however you want to do it, help protect it, help spread it, help grow it. And again, it's just another way to serve and strengthen our nation. And I'll leave you with this last little thought. It's just a way of bringing people together. And some of you have heard me tell this before, but I did have the Georgia National Guard, but that was just one of 12 units that I had when I took command of Iraq. I had the 101st Airborne, 82nd Airborne, the Georgia National Guard. I had 3-3 Armed Cavalry out of Leavenworth, Kansas. I had a National Guard unit from Louisiana who nobody could understand. And I had a Puerto Rican National Guard unit who nobody could understand. But we also had a British unit, and the Brits are different than Americans are. You know, when we salute, when like Bob saluted me, I saluted him back, and we went about our business. The British, when they get ready, when they want to talk to you, they walk to you, they stomp their feet, they salute backwards, and they yell. So I had my first meeting there in Kuwait before we went into the invasion of Iraq, and I was meeting with the British unit that was assigned to me, and the command sergeant major from the British unit came up, stomped his feet, saluted backwards, and yelled at me. He said, "Sir, I think we're going to have a problem talking to you." And I said, "Really? Why is that?" He said, "Because you've got an accent and you talk funny, we can't understand you." I said, "Okay, Sergeant Major." Of course, my little redneck hair stood up in the back of my head. I said, "Okay, Sergeant Major, I think you talk funny, and I can't understand you." And he bristled up, and he said, "Sir, I'll have you know we speak the Queen's English in my outfit." I said, "Really? Which Queen?" He said, "Queen Elizabeth." I said, "Okay." I thought about it for a minute. I said, "Sergeant Major, I'll have you know we speak the King's English in my outfit." He said, "Which king?" I said, "Elvis Presley." All right. True story. But it got us all on the same sheet of music. Everybody understood each other, and everybody worked together. So as you celebrate your 4th of July, thank America for your freedoms. Thank the people that serve, not just the ones in uniform, but all the people that serve for extending a hand out, helping someone. And then think about ways you can get us all on one sheet of music to move our community and our country forward. God bless our community, God bless America, and God bless you. Thank you very, very much.